Hello, Dr. Lessard and classmates. So today we're going to talk about my strategic plan from inception to evaluation. So I went with my medical group education and training department, which I am the flight chief of and have been for the last 2.5 years. So the goal that I chose was, it was a two-part goal, maintaining clinical currency and enabling a zero-harm culture. So we started off with a SWOT analysis and looked at our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So amongst the strengths, so currently we have a department that is fully manned, and it gives us a capability to run a multitude of different programs and allows us to run at full capacity. For the last year and a half, almost 2 years, probably a year and a half, it was just myself out there in a 3-man department. So I was able to just maintain a lot of the programs and not able to actually dive into them and bump up the currencies and make sure people were doing what they were supposed to do. Another one of our strengths is that because we are fully manned, we've been able to get our relationships with our surrounding hospitals or training departments. We've been able to get some good relationships going on. So this helps us with our training requirements that are physicians, nurses, technicians, anybody else that needs any training requirements. So we are on their distro list. They send us their calendars, and they know us if we call them or email them and say, hey, do you have any trainings that are coming up, so that we can get into any classes. We've also identified some tracking systems for us internally, so we can maintain certifications because they were being tracked outside of us and they weren't being tracked adequately or properly. And then we've able to increase our team steps. Team steps is where they have enabled like team huddles, timeouts, just like the zero harm culture within a medical facility. So we have upped our instructors for that, so that allows us to do initial training and then begin refresher training. So some of our weaknesses that we have is not all personnel, when they are in processing to our facility, are coming to us to in process. So we aren't gathering all their certifications and their certification dates, so we aren't able to put them in our database. They aren't maintaining their competencies and aren't keeping up with their expiration dates. And then we have lost our ACLS certification site. We were running one along with our BLS site, but we've lost that because we don't have the instructors. And then we have an increased need for instructors and training staff training site staff for our programs that we run here. So those are our weaknesses. Our opportunities that we do have is we have the ability to send our staff to training sites to get them spun up to come back and be instructors here. So I run the EMT program because all med techs, which is what I am, have to maintain their national registry EMT to be a foreign an aerospace medical technician. So if they do not, then they are removed from their job. So we have to run the National Registry EMT recertification program. Right now I only have one instructor, which is me. So I'm able to send people to the Air Force EMT instructor class. So I have to find some classes and send some people to them, especially my replacement. We are able to increase our training at local facilities due to our relationships. So we have a relationship with our local hospital here, which is about 20 miles down the road. We have a relationship with William Beaumont, which is an Army hospital about 2 hours away in El Paso. So those are, we're able to just call them up and add people to their classes, and we aren't charged to add people to those classes. We have a memorandum of understanding with them. And then our compliance rate for life support and team steps, we have the opportunity to increase those rates of training due to increasing our instructors. So our threats, our major threat that we have currently is I will be leaving. I am retiring from the Air Force, so I have a lot of program knowledge in our education and training department, so maintaining a lot of programs, and the two new staff members that have recently come to work out there with me, they've only been there for about 4 months, and I only have about 6 months left. So I'm trying to get them spun up, transfer some programs over to them, and find out who my replacement is, so then I can get that person trained up and let them know what they need to do. And then making sure that we keep up our programs, our books, our supplies, keeping all those up. So our business goals, maintaining our budget, making sure that our leadership understands that our programs are also important as well, that because we need to make sure our staff are trained, and if they're not trained, then they're not able to provide good quality patient care. Making sure that all of the competencies are tracked properly, making sure people meet the qualifications and any type of training that is needed for within the certain time frame for OSHA, Joint Commission, Air Force Medical Service, anything like that. That all that is met in a timely manner. We want to make sure that the mission, vision, goal, that they are taught that in their newcomers, and their customer service and team steps is also taught that in newcomers, and that we get their certifications when they come and check in. So our stakeholder analysis, when we looked at when I looked at that, that's going to bring into and show us who we need to provide these information for. So it's basically going to be the entire med group, because they all have parts in it. But the major parts is going to be our leadership, and then those right underneath the leadership. So that's going to be our superintendents and our flight commanders and our flight chiefs. So we want to make sure that all of them are part of our processes and understanding what they need to do. So our action plan is going to go into making sure that we're getting and using the right managerial decisions, methods, and getting what we need. So for our financial stuff, we're going to use the analytical managerial decision making, because we want to look at the data and find solutions based on the data to ensure that we can provide them and show them, look, this is what we need and why we need it, and provide them the data and show them, this is what's going to make us be better at it. Then when we're looking at our revamping the newcomers process, because Right now it's kind of broken and people aren't checking in and getting the needed training, which can then lead to not maintaining their clinical currency and their competencies and getting so we need to make sure that they are getting the training and making sure that they are meeting all the expectations, and we aren't going to get dinged on any type of inspections. So when we do that, we want to gather all the information and have all the stakeholders in the process, and have SMART objectives. So using the conceptual managerial style, because we have a large number of people involved in the newcomers process, we're going to gather everybody and make sure that we have the best management tactic by using the objective of the SMART tactics, having the specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-based, to make sure that we have everything under control and the whole process started and everything's covered in that. So with our leadership style and leadership strategy, we would like our leadership to have the authentic leadership, and showing that when they do come over and brief our newcomers, because having the passion and showing and fostering the zero harm culture, and just when they brief about their mission and vision and goal, that's what everyone's going to follow. So if they're authentic in what they're showing and what they're leading by, that's something that they're making the personal connections on, and our personnel that are going through newcomers are going to follow it. So the communication plan to show that we're maintaining our clinical currency and that we're enabling the zero harm culture is showing the formal briefings. With these formal briefings, we do them actually once a month on Thursday mornings. So every Thursday morning, all leadership, our commanders, our squadron commanders, our superintendents, our flight commanders, and our flight chiefs all meet for about an hour and a half, and people bring up anything that is important or they're having issues with. So we have to brief once a month already. And so this is a great opportunity for us to bring up our communication about these issues and whether we're meeting our clinical currency, and if we're enabling the zero harm culture by meeting our team step objectives. So we would then disseminate this information, and then what is supposed to happen is the flight commanders and the flight chiefs then bring it back to their clinics, and then the clinic NCRICs, so the non-commissioned officers in charge, the people that are in charge of the clinics, then brief those at their huddles, and then from the huddles they then go to their team huddles, which is just the physician, the technician, and the nurse, and then the admin technicians. They then talk about the information at their huddles, and then that information should be disseminated throughout there. And then if there's any volunteers on the teams, they then would get the information that way. We can also disseminate information through emails, mass emails. We have a bulletin that our commander's exec or secretary sends out weekly. We can also do mass emails if there is a training sent out through our hospital training site, which is SWINK. We use SWINK Health. A lot of medical treatment facilities, even civilian uses. So we send those out as well. So there's different ways we can use our communication plan to even get the information all the way down to our volunteers who do not have email. And that can get all the information, whether there's training available, whether we're meeting our goals, and we can make sure everyone understands what we're wanting to do, how we're doing it, and if we're meeting what we had expected to do. So those are just some ways that our communication plan can work. So to get the feedback from whether or not what we're doing is actually working, we can use SurveyMonkey. So we're supposed to, as the Education and Training Department, send out SurveyMonkeys or surveys, and we use SurveyMonkey to get what they want from us as far as training expectations. But we can also use it to send out whether or not they got the information. So we just type up a quick SurveyMonkey, send that out as a link, and then get our responses back. Obviously, with any type of survey, you're not going to get that much information back, but it will still help and see how much information got down and to what level it got down to, because then you can ask, you know, are you a med tech, are you a medical admin, you know, what type of job you are, and you can see where it got to, how it got to, you know, what type of communication plan it worked. So then for the evaluation of this, we would then track our trainings, track our competencies, see if anything lags, make sure nobody goes delinquent in their trainings, because then our plan isn't working, and then that's how we would be able to track our evaluation of everything. So thank you for watching my video.